We are continuing our Best Picture series, and this week we got a new guest for you. It's Dave Schilling. He's a writer and podcaster. You've probably read a lot of his stuff on Birth, Movies, Death, on Bleacher Report. He writes about sports and movies and wrestling, all kinds of stuff. He's also on YouTube at CinemaCope. But today, he's sitting down with our old buddy Michael Truly, and they're talking about The Post, whether or not it has what it takes to win Best Picture.
So what'd you think of The Post?
I was not that amused by this movie. I know it was not a comedy per se, but it seemed like it was trying to make me laugh.
In fairness, it did have David Cross and Bob Odenkirk standing next to each other.
Exactly.
But there is no part of that that's a comedy.
You didn't find Tom Hanks doing his best East Coast print journalist accent?
It wasn't that bad.
Tom Hanks is such a talented comedian and such a funny personality, that it's hard for me to separate that from his performances sometimes. I think that's true of him.
I think sometimes his characters have fun.
Sure.
And sometimes they're relishing their moment. And it was definitely a moment for Tom Hanks' character in that movie, but I don't know that it ever approaches a comedy in that respect.
Well, not a comedy, but I think there were certainly moments of levity, and I think that it undercut a lot of the drama in this movie. The casting, the performances sometimes verge on caricature, like I said.
Okay, let's talk about the casting.
Sure.
It is filled with top-tier talent.
Yeah.
Like, there is no way the Academy overlooks this movie. You have the Holy Trinity of Streep, Hanks, and Spielberg, and then a rogues gallery of people down the line.
It's like every actor in Hollywood who's ever cast in a period piece movie set in the 50s, 60s, or 70s. You've got your Bradley Whitford, you've got your Bruce Greenwood, you've got Meryl Streep. You got it all. You got all of them. There's like a factory where they pump these people out who look like they've been smoking 12 packs of cigarettes a day. Though I will give you, Meryl Streep is fantastic in this movie. There is a great character arc for her, learning to be more assertive and to step up in a very sexist world. I thought that was great. And in this day and age, obviously, those sorts of messages are important. But when you stack it up against the other nominees, I don't think that this movie is any more remarkable than them.
This movie tackles literally everything that's going on right now. The attacks on the free press, the sort of Me Too movement that kind of goes into like women struggling to sort of find themselves in the workplace. And this is a great example of Meryl Streep. This is probably going to be pointed at as the best example of women being unheard in corporate events. And she's like the CEO of the Washington Post. So I think that tackles two of the major things that are happening currently.
Okay, but this is not about which movie ticks the most boxes for social consciousness.
It absolutely is.
It's about what's the best movie. The last scene of this movie was like the post-credit sequence of a Marvel movie. It's like, stay tuned for the sequel to The Post, All the President's Men, and Nixon is like Thanos, like this mustache-twirling villain. I understand that sometimes people love to see movies that are about good versus evil and don't have shades of gray. But when I look at a movie, when I look at any sort of piece of fiction, I want to see complexity. And this is just so black and white and such a Spielbergian hero's journey romp that I didn't take it as seriously as some of the other films.
But you're talking about it as a Marvel Universe film, and for the 60-year-olds and 50-year-olds that were in the audience with me, that was their Marvel Universe. They were excited. I'm being serious. Like when it got to the
real world is like the Marvel Universe.
When it revealed the Watergate break-in, they were like, like they didn't know it was going to go there, and it was. For them, it was really special, and those are the Academy voters.
Because it's Spielberg, because it's Tom Hanks, because it's Meryl Streep, all the reasons that you give, the Academy is going to overlook it because it's so obvious that this is an awards bait movie. I think they want to go a totally different direction. Look at last year. They chose Moonlight when it seemed obvious to everyone on the planet that they were going to pick La La Land.
That's fair, but I think ultimately that even reflects the fact that the Academy is looking more at social issues currently than sort of fluff that has to do with movie making. Like, this isn't about movies, it's also about a medium and a narrative medium. And I think there's a lot of sort of nostalgia for the lost days of print and newspapers, and I think it says something about why newspapers are relevant right now. It just stacks up until the point that they can't ignore it.
As someone who's worked for a newspaper before, I am not nostalgic for any of that either, by the way. I feel like I've seen the Newspapers Are Cool movie 50 times now.
And they love it.
Unfortunately. I like Spotlight, but I don't need to see that same movie again. It's not the same movie,
Yeah.
but it's they're on parallel tracks of, you remember newspapers and how people could get their shirt sleeves rolled up and wear ugly watches.
Okay, so you don't think The Post is going to win. What do you think is going to win?
If I had to guess, I would say Get Out is going to win Best Picture.
You don't think they take that and they relegate it to Best Screenplay? And it's sort of like, you did a good job, here's an Academy Award for something else you did on the movie that was also very good. Now let's look at this awesome newspaper movie with all of our contemporaries in it, and we remember Nixon.
But this is a different time. This is a post-Moonlight Academy. And I think that that's the direction you go if you want to make a statement. And whether or not they pick the best movie is up for debate, but you can tell the Academy wants to make a statement every year. And that's the statement
What
movie.
was their statement with the artist?
Hollywood. Have you been before?
Okay, guys, let us know what you think about The Post. You think it's going to win Best Picture? Also, thanks again to Dave Schilling for stopping by. You can find him on Twitter at Dave_Schilling. Also, be sure to subscribe to CineFix so you don't miss the rest of our Best Picture videos. We're almost through. We're about halfway through. We got a bunch up already. Go check those out. We got a bunch more on the way. They're coming. We'll see you next time.